and welcome to Canon City Comic Club, an episodic examination of the most memorable storylines in comic books. I'm your host, Tristan Cooper, and I don't know why they get Jersey so much flack when Staten Island is right there. Randy McKay.
Hi.
What are your thoughts?
Also,
welcome.
Hey, it's me,
Thank
Randy
you for being
McKay.
here, etc., etc.
What tri-state area place do I dislike is what we're doing, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know, all of Connecticut.
Wow.
Ew.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm coming for you, Connecticut.
Yeah, you're
Get easier to spell.
Your well-paved roads.
Jeez,
And
your
your-
cul-de-sacs?
No thanks.
Mm-mm.
Carolyn Page, thank you for A, hello, B,
Hello.
start some beef.
Also, fuck Connecticut.
Word.
The meanest drivers of anywhere. I've driven all over that state, and they're cruel. They're nasty, and they're cruel. Slow down, people.
Yeah, just because you got nice roads doesn't mean you get to drive fast.
You're all...
I mean, it's kind of part of what it comes into. The people of Massachusetts have terrible roads, and they are maybe even worse. So,
That's true.
But Massachusetts isn't the tri-state area.
okay, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Let's,
New England.
You're right. Let's pull back and let's recenter
Hey, wanna
ourselves.
talk about comics?
Well, let's talk about comic books. We're talking about Jersey because that is where Miss Marvel is set. Miss Marvel, as in Kamala Khan, not Carol Danvers. Miss Marvel, now Captain Marvel. We'll get into all of that. We're starting with No Normal by G. Willow Wilson, Adrian Afona. It is Kamala Khan's origin story. It's very Spider-Man-y, I found, in a lot of ways. Just sort of like her gaining powers, coming to terms with them. Like not quite into the great power, great responsibility quite yet, but we're getting a little taste. This is like a nice little first act that we get into with this character. Randy, before we get into it, I wanted to know if you had any familiarity at all with this character. I know you're a Marvel fan and an X-Men fan in particular, but she is an Inhuman technically. So do you have any familiarity there?
No.
Okay.
I have I read a lot of X-Men, all of it up until I'd say Secret Wars 2, which is essentially where the Inhumans were about to get folded into the same universe, and then lost the thread somewhere when they were doing stuff with the Phoenix Egg, and I was just like, let me pull back for a second. And then AVX, and suddenly Inhumans came, and I was like, oh no, I'm lost again. And I was surprised to find out how much that interplayed with this story.
Sure, that is true. I didn't think about that. But this is very self-contained. Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, does play a big part in the story in that she is not technically in this comic, but she's a presence in this comic. But for the wider Marvel cosmic universe or whatnot, it's pretty self-contained to Jersey City.
Yeah.
So before we get into the story itself, I do want to do a little bit of continuity catch-up, doing a little house cleaning, just making sure we all know where we stand, where we came from. Just before this comic came out, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, was rebooted into the form that you've probably seen in the movies, whether it's Avengers Endgame or Captain Marvel the movie.
The sweet haircut that we all know and love.
Yes, exactly.
And secretly want.
I mean... I don't know if I could pull it off. My head is maybe a little bit too large for that kind of cut, for a pixie cut. But
yeah, it'd be longer for you, right?
Just potentially, yeah. Maybe I'll do it with the beard. I'll do it upside down.
Ah.
Whoa. What?
Let's think about it.
I'm very intrigued, and I'll be very upset if you don't now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a lot
Leave
of
it in the
pressure.
comments.
Well,
Does that you shave the sides and then you'd kind of get a
yeah, a little
undercomb?
I had to get a helmet for my beard underneath, and then the beard would come through as a mohawk in the middle. That'd be really classy. Everyone would really like that, I think. I'm
trying to envision it.
It's like an Escher drawing.
Don't look too long at it, I don't think. So shortly after this, there was an event with Black Bolt and Thanos.
Woo.
Long story short,
Big Thanos fan.
Black Bolt set off a Terrigen bomb, which unleashed the Terrigen mists, which basically are more or less to activate mutants, but that are not technically mutants, because this was 5-6 years ago at this point, and Marvel still had not had the rights to the X-Men movie characters. They were not interested in promoting characters they did not have the movie rights to. Sure. So they were like, we need our own mutants. So how do we do that? we have the Inhumans. We don't know kind of what to do with them. Let's make them our own mutants. Let's activate everyone in the world who has these latent, not X genes, but Inhuman genes, I guess.
Yeah, latent Inhuman genes.
Yeah, that's
and
more
then
or
you
less.
get a little spicy gas, and then you've got powers.
Spicy, yeah. I mean,
The gas, the mist. I thought that you meant like.
It's spicy gas.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was an Inhuman, but apparently I am.
Yeah, you are.
So that's how it activates, and that's how it happens. It's going to be very interesting to me because Kamala Khan seems like a no-brainer for like the next 5 or 10 years of Marvel movies, and I wonder how they'll introduce her. Not that they have the rights to the mutants. It's much easier just to make her a mutant, just to make her wake up one day and have some weird reality powers, something with the snap, maybe mess with people's reality or whatnot.
Take notes, Russos.
It is. I mean, I do really like the visuals of the Terrigen Mist, kind of like floating over people and people like instantly transforming or transforming later. That stuff is really cool. We should really get into the book itself for the book breakdown. Carolyn, what did you think about this book?
Oh man, I loved it. I thought it was a good time. It wasn't like some of the storytelling kind of took some leaps and bounds.
Sure,
and it
sure,
was
sure.
a little like self-aware in an interesting way.
Mhm.
But I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
And the art's beautiful.
Sure.
The character's so cool. Did I get a little choked up? Did I get a little egg in my throat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
Egg in your throat.
Yeah,
Is
just
that-
like I'm crying.
Is that like a full like
It's like
hard-boiled egg or a scrambled egg?
It's like a
Well, when you
Sunny
get
side up.
egg in your face, you get embarrassed. So when you get egg in your throat, you
You
like
get-
are choking and like kind of have to cry in order to get the egg out.
Okay.
yes.
Is that what like?
Sure.
I'm just
A quail
imagining.
egg.
I'm just imagining Birdo from the Mario games.
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
like
Constantly crying.
just like constantly crying.
I
spitting
do
out
look
eggs.
like Birdo when I cry, for sure.
I'm glad someone said it.
100%. No, I love this book. I'm such a sucker for like things are hard, but I keep going stories.
Sure.
Like that's the only
Mhm.
moral that is important in life.
It's very anime.
Yeah.
Very shonen anime.
It's just like, I'm not really like, I don't have that much going on, but I'm going to keep going.
Mhm.
But then she does have stuff going on.
yeah,
Cool powers.
that seems like it's something that she's been waiting for. At the beginning of the book, she's just like kind of like chilling out. She has, a family that's kind of giving her guff here and there. She has like bullies, kind of.
Yeah.
She has some friends, but she has a lot of expectations around her.
It's hard. She sticks out.
she sticks
like,
out.
It's
She's
difficult culturally when the culture clash that
yeah.
is so different from where you grew up.
Yeah, she's
You know?
a Muslim Pakistani in New Jersey. She has a lot of expectations externally from the outside society
Mm-hmm.
and internally from her family, who will all have expect different things from her, who all are all different degrees.
That to me is what the book really is.
Yeah.
Like, the superhero stuff is ancillary.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
truly about like, most superheroes have the dual life between being a superhero and then being like whatever their secret identity is.
Sure.
Sorry. But like her dual life is like being part of like her larger cultural identity, but then also being an actual American. Like she was born in the US, first generation American, and which I really connected with because I myself is first generation American. And so I like understood like your parents have these incredible expectations of you and you're just trying to like live your life and fit in, but it's already hard enough just being a high schooler. And then when she gets these extra powers thrown at her, it's like, oh, you're living 3 lives.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
constantly code switching.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten there quite yet because when we start the book, she's regular, normal. She's writing Avengers fanfic,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think. It's a little bit like pop culture heavy at first, a little bit too much into the kid lingo. I think it played maybe a little bit better back when this book was written, but the problem with going like hyper now is that it's hyper later also.
Right.
And so that kind of sticks out a little bit more to me when I first read it, because I first read these when the individual issues came out several years ago. But it's not long before she sneaks out of the house to go to a party. And like, I know this is something I see in every movie and comic and everything. I never snuck out of the house. I was a really lame kid.
Oh my God. I never snuck out of the house.
I can't imagine climbing down a tree.
Oh, I would have been terrified.
Like out of my window into this tree and feeling safe and secure, like this is a good idea.
No.
None of that.
Young Carolyn was not a rule breaker. Not like now where I'm a cool rebel. Bleh, fuck your rules.
I walk out the front door and also lock it for safety.
Yeah, and then I'll lock it again. And then sometimes I'll get halfway down the block and I'll go back and just make sure that it's really locked.
I've got anxiety about leaving my oven on.
Yeah, same. Woo!
Great. Yeah. So we're all rebels here who identify with this character and also are much lamer than this character.
Oh, yeah.
As an adult.
Man, I feel like I was never 16. Like the way you see 16-year-olds portrayed everywhere.
I know. Like, it's not like she's like a super like part of the cool kids. There's definitely cool kids in the book, supposedly.
Oh, yeah.
But like she still sneaks out of the house. You know, she's still going to like Josh's party. Let's go see Josh. Ugh. I mean, that's very accurate, I feel.
Yeah.
as much as I didn't sneak out of the house, I did know a lot of Joshes who had parties that.
Yeah. Was it Josh's party? I felt like Josh was an accessory. Like Josh is a purse.
Okay, you might be right.
Is Josh the jock?
Yeah.
The jock.
Yeah,
guy?
he's the one who like passes out or accidentally knocks someone into the water in a minute here. But like during this party is going on, we see the Terrigen Mists like kind of come out. It's the thing that happens a lot in comics is that a big event happens in like one main book, and then you see this event from different perspectives in other places. Mm-hmm. And here you see it in Jersey, which is kind of cool. You see that shot of like the buildings being covered by the mists, and like a lot of people like freaking out. Some people like nothing happens to them, but for Kamala, like it really affects her in that she goes into this little cocoon almost and has like these visions, and she comes out, and then she is all of a sudden Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, or at least like has the appearance of her. Mm-hmm. And that was like bizarre in a lot of ways, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Like just to learn about your powers by being someone else.
I feel like it was strange because while she was in the cocoon, like having her sort of coma dream, you know, she sees the vision of like Captain Marvel.
No, the vision's not there.
Sorry, what?
She sees this vision of Captain Marvel, Captain America, and Iron Man, and they're I don't know if it's a specific like reference that they're doing from a religion that I'm not familiar with, but like it's very symbolic feeling.
Sure.
And like they're saying what appears to be like a coded thing or like a tongue that we're not aware of. Mm-hmm. And then they have this conversation about like how things will be different. And I know you want to be me, but like you can't quite be me.
Sure.
It's not going to be exactly what you think, but it's still going to be an adventure.
Right.
And wow. I really appreciated the fact that like, you know, she is aware that something is happening, but you know, it's sort of hinting at like, just because you think life is going to be one way doesn't mean you're going to get exactly what you want. And that is sort of told throughout the entirety of the story.
And there were little animals in that panel.
There were.
I was like, what are these guys?
What's
They're
with
so
the hedgehog
cute.
with the giant hands?
I don't
is
know.
that a thing? What is that?
We didn't pull. I don't think we pulled any of these
hands.
panels, so
I
we
guess
just got to take
that's
your word
why
for it.
that was probably like foreshadowing about her own powers, maybe.
Ah, maybe.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Her powers are, as we learn very quickly, while she's in this state, someone else, I think her name is it Vicky? No, it's not Vicky. It's Zoe.
Yeah.
Zoe falls into the water. She's rescued by Miss Marvel's like embiggening hands, who basically like almost like her powers are kind of hard to quantify for me. Well, it's almost like Mr. Fantastic a little bit.
It's like really just shape shifting.
Yeah.
In a like very broad sense.
Sure, I guess
like she can transform, shape shift. She can embiggen and imsmallen.
Yeah.
And
so that's a whole thing with embiggen, because that becomes her catchphrase. I think she uses it pretty quickly in this story. If not at this moment, then like one or two issues after this, she says embiggen. That's her sort of like self-encouraging like word of empowerment, right? She says embiggen, and we were talking about this before the show. Randy knows it from the Simpsons. Where it originates is The Simpsons, an episode where I think one of the Springfield founders says like a noble spirit embiggens the smallest man, and that it's a joke because embiggen is not a word, and then they later go on to say like I think it's a perfectly cromulent word. That's that's the whole bit, basically, is that it's a fake word that is later, like, interestingly kind of, like, taken by Miss Marvel, because I think it might potentially be in the dictionary now.
Ooh,
and,
I know meh is in the dictionary, another word that the Simpsons invented.
Oxford's really getting
Good job,
fast and loose these days. But I think it's actually attributed to Miss Marvel and not the Simpsons.
What?
Hell yeah. Good job, Miss Marvel. You did it.
Yeah, screw you, Matt Groening.
He's doing fine, I think.
Is he?
I mean, financially?
Financially, he's set.
Is there any other kind of good or bad to be doing? No.
Eating and sleeping very well.
No apnea for him.
Exactly.
That's it. I really liked this scene where she embiggens her hand and then she saves Zoe.
Yeah.
Because with the previous scene where Zoe had been like a huge bitch to her.
Sure.
And which I also really appreciated, like, I had friends like this that were like, you look back and you're like, why did I like them? Like, they were actively, people who were just
terrible,
like cruel to you, but then they're always like smiling.
Sure.
And like, why?
This speaks to a lot of Kamala's character, is that, like, no matter like how people treat her, is that she's willing to go out of her way to help them in a time of need. And I think that's her. I don't know, if this was a script writing class, that would be her, like, save the cat moment or whatever, right? Is that, like, being, like, shit on, and then, like, if you know, being tripped by someone and then holding the door open for them, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of that, I think, taps into, or at least they allude to it tapping into her upbringing, because like when she's about to do something, she like literally says, well, my dad says do this, or my mom says be this way. And so I think it's really nice how fleshed out and well-rounded and how real she feels to me. I don't know if we can jump back and forth between Spider-Man and, like,
sure, yeah,
I love Spider-Man, but I can't relate at all to Spider-Man. I think everything in his world is a little too fantastic. Like, he's the smartest person in the world. He's the nerdiest person to ever exist. He doesn't have parents, and, like, I understand that people are orphans. Huge wang. Sorry, me.
Sorry, Andrew.
Wow.
But Carolyn called me out. What am I going to do? Not own it? And, like, and then he gets the powers on top of all of that.
Sure.
But then Camilla, like, has a family who's, like, times are hard with, but, like, they still love her and appreciate her. And, like, you know, that feels more realistic to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there were bullies in her school, but they're not, like, Flash Thompson trying to dunk her head in the toilet. They're just, like, saying mean things every once in a while. Like, everything feels more real and connected.
It's a little bit more grounded,
as
it were, even though it's still, like, transforming powers, like mutant myths and cocoons and visions and stuff like that.
Okay.
Speaking of grounded, she does get grounded a lot.
Oh, so much.
And I thought she handled this stuff with her parents maybe realistically like a teenager would.
Right.
But it's so frustrating in stories when you're just like, just talk to each other a little bit more and you can figure this out. Like, your parents are not going to sell you to science.
Sure.
Also, like, parents are not going to accept I can't tell you why as an answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what happens when she comes home and her dad is like very mad. Her mom's like, and her brother are all just like losing their minds because of what's happening.
They know she's stuck out. She's just experienced this major trauma of like transforming.
This is something that I personally related to because I was an extremely shitty teen, just like top to bottom, like very angsty towards my parents for no reason. And like I could like have these these inner struggles, like why am I being this way? And then my dad would say like try to like connect with me and be like, get out of here, Dad. I don't need you. And so like I truly empathize with the feeling of like not just like some sort of like magnetic force like repelling you away from your parents. I guess like, and that's maybe like something has to do with like coming of age, something maybe need to do something yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like biologically what we're meant to do is like, now's your time to go start your own family, but you're 16
and you also live with them
and you can't do that.
Yeah.
So we're not like our society's not set up that way.
I was an incredibly good kid. I just want to throw that out there. I love my parents. Anyway, but I do think
Tristan and I like our parents too. Okay?
No. I love my parents. Anyway,
Wow.
What I'm trying to say though is that I did think her parents were being unreasonable.
Okay.
In a way that was realistic. Like, no, you're never going to win that argument. So if you are going to be a hero, you truly need to disobey them. And I do feel like she could have talked to them, but I don't think they would have cared or listened.
Sure.
Not that they would sell her to science, but I do feel like the first generation parent thing would be like, all right, we're going to send you back to the home country so you like learn how to do it. And so like I can understand that as like a maybe unwritten reason why she wouldn't want to tell them.
Sure.
She was like, we came to America and America has sullied our daughter.
I also think it is along with like a very logical, like internal, thoughtful reason. There's also just like a structural reason for this, and that it's an ongoing comic, and you need to set up stakes and drama for later comics. If you spend it all in the first couple issues, then there's nothing to come out. I mean, I think eventually, at least her mother and potentially brother find out about everything.
I loved the brother character so much. And I probably identified, like, his experience was probably the most similar to mine in a way, just being like, I'm a teenager, I don't have any identity. What's this one thing that like promises identity and community? It's like your religion. For me, that was like Presbyterianism, which is like Catholicism light, but just like glomming onto that and being like, this is everything. And then the people around you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're just being so lazy right now. Like, you know, I don't know. I liked the brother a lot, just like that all in like cool. Young guy, just being like, this is who I am. And your mom like, you have to get a job, like, really.
Yeah.
So moving along in the story, we see that despite being grounded, technically Kamala still is having trouble at school. Like, she's in a locker room trying to test her powers. He's kind of like losing control on who among us hasn't had a terrible unintentional incident in a locker room in high school at one time or another.
I didn't
not going to be specific.
Any time in locker rooms in high school.
Did you avoid them or?
Oh yeah, there was no gym for me.
No.
There was
out of that any way I could.
It was mandatory for us. In high school, but I didn't. In a lot of movies and stuff, it's like, hey man, this is rite of passage. You got to go in naked to the showers with a bunch of other 15-year-olds. I didn't do that.
Yeah. I feel like no one showered at my school, like, during gym time. It was like, I remember specifically at one point having those, like, Old Navy, I don't know if we can say the brand Old Navy, but they had these, like, these pants with the little zipper on them, and then you can convert to shorts. And that was my move. I was like, okay,
cool.
Time to go to sports. And then, like, come back to school
with jeans? You worked out in jean shorts?
They were like chinos.
Okay.
They were like khakis.
Okay.
You could do that.
That like weird parachute material.
Yeah.
I had a pair that was like burnt umber, like orange.
Yeah.
Those were so cool.
See, you didn't have to change in the locker room.
We were really cool teens.
Guys.
I take everything back.
Hey, yeah.
Cool squad.
So I think
so she runs in there because she's having like issues.
Yeah.
And I forget Bruno.
Bruno is her friend.
Yeah, Bruno is her friend. Like, unrequited crush in that he has a crush on her, and I guess is too afraid to say. Is he not a crush? I read crush the entire time.
Friends.
Because like he seemed to like he always did like this thing to like, but Camilla, come on, oh wait, Camilla, like sort of deal to me. I don't.
See,
I guess I'm the only one who picked up on that.
This as an adult, that was a huge shock to me. Was realizing that like a lot of what you thought were platonic male friends, like, were trying to get it and just didn't register. And maybe that's the same with Bruno and Kamala, but I thought they were just friends.
No.
Still oblivious.
No?
Randy's correct.
I
said,
I have read beyond this.
Okay.
So that is like that.
Can't we just have a fucking two straight people of opposite genders be friends? Is that so hard to represent in media? Is it? And especially in such a great comic like this. What the hell?
Maybe Bruno.
It's not all about sex, people.
maybe Bruno is affected by exterior pop culture and societal expectations that are shaping him, or maybe it's just a comic that has a romantic relationship,
Maybe
and not platonic. Like
maybe Bruno has this weird thing where he wants to date a superhero. That's weird, right?
Sure. I get
Is
the
that
feeling
weird
that-
trying to date a
Sure.
superhero?
I get the feeling that he was into her before that.
Oh, he totally
but,
was.
Yeah. Anyway, they reunite. he learns her secret when Kamala comes upon his store being held at gunpoint. Bruno's store being held at gunpoint. She saves the day. She does get shot. The thief gets away.
The thief who is
Vic,
Bruno's brother.
Bruno's brother Vic, who we learn later. But the important part for this specific little snippet of the story is that she gets shot and then she has to transform back to heal herself, because when she tries to like use her powers or whatnot, the wound comes back, which I found was kind of an interesting trade-off or weakness.
Yeah.
It's like you can heal, but like you might have to reveal yourself to someone you don't want to reveal yourself to. Which is doesn't necessarily come back in any other point in the story than just this little robbery, but I think it is plants on a seed for later, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I really like about this sort of botched rescue is that, like, it reinforces you have to crawl before you walk thing. And I think it's very important because of what I said before. Like, just because you have these powers, these abilities, doesn't mean that you can just do whatever you want. You know, it's not the answer to all your problems. You do need to, like, temper your actions with wisdom, think about things, and, like, I don't know, maybe get a plan. Like, great that you were courageous and you wanted to save the day, but also, like, a man has a gun. You don't know what your powers do yet. What do you make your arms big? You can still get shot.
Yeah.
You're right.
She's like, I'm just gonna run in.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna run in here.
It's more surface area for him to shoot.
This reminded me of the scene in Kick-Ass when he first goes out
Sure.
and just gets the shit beat out of him.
Right.
Like, this was obviously
Mhm.
she was fine, so it was a little different. But
Right.
I like that the learning to crawl before you can walk thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she runs into this issue too because she puts on her new costume and everything, or like kind of like the halfway mark, like Spider-Man costume. Because I don't think in this book do we get a full? Oh yes, a little bit later,
Yeah, at the
towards
end,
the
yeah.
end. But here we have like this is this sort of like interim, like we got the color scheme, we got the basic look, but it's not fully formed quite yet.
Yeah,
and
she asks her mom for a burkini.
Yeah.
right, of
Her
course.
mom's like the
That-
one you said you'd never wear.
Yeah,
She's
that
like, "I
belongs
need
to
it."
her aunt or something like that.
Shut up, mom.
Mom, throw my rep.
Well, it's great because, Camilla's growing up in a world where there are other heroes and she's young enough to, like, have seen them and their rise. So it's like she was fully inspired. Like, I would imagine any kid growing up in this actual universe would be like, here's what I would do if I were ever a superhero. Like,
Sure.
here's the costume that I'm
Oh
going to
my
make. So it
God.
was like, I can get on board with the fact that she had it pre-planned.
Sure.
It was just like,
Totally.
yeah, no, you draw fanfic and you had daydreams about Captain Marvel and now you've become Captain Marvel. Of course
Sure.
you know how to make your own costume.
That's fair.
Totally.
It doesn't go super well at first because she basically tracks down Vic, I believe it is.
Vic, yeah, that's his
Vic
name.
to a
Vic,
kind of a-
Italian last name.
it's Vic.
Did they have last names? Whatever.
Yeah,
it's
they-
Vic Mario.
No, they had a last name. They had a last name that was very Italian.
Okay. I mean,
Like
I
Mario.
can't imagine. It's Vic Mario Spaghetti is his full name.
I guess
no.
we're coming for Boston after all.
So what? But it doesn't go well because she eventually gets into this base where there's some larger supervillain things happening. Vic is being held captive because he screwed up, and he's in peril. He's in peril at this point.
Because he couldn't get the money. It's like
Right.
very Fight Club
Yeah.
house.
Yes.
Like everyone's in this house. You need to bring money.
There,
Culty.
yeah, it's like there's a technological based supervillain that comes into play later.
Called
and you
the
get-
Inventor.
The Inventor. I get him confused with
Ah.
not to be confused with the Tinkerer.
Yeah.
It's a whole deal.
Putting the chicken before the egg.
Yes, exactly.
Wink.
Put the cart before the horse.
But she has
Wink.
to she has to ensmallen to leave and like escape and like live to fight another day. Basically, she learns to, at least in this point, it's kind of interesting. She fails, but she also learns, maybe when she has to run away. But like on another level, like on a more surface level, I thought it was interesting that this kind of separates her from Mr. Fantastic in another way, is that she can like shrink herself and make herself smaller, as opposed to she can ensmallen and embiggen. And I was wondering, like, if you had to choose one, you can ensmallen or you can embiggen. Which one do you go for?
Dang, dude. This is like the would you rather fly or be invisible? Because it's literally like, do you want to be hyper visible or like very invisible?
Do you want to like get anywhere instantly, or do you want to be a pervert? Is that question?
Yeah, that's what the question is. Well, I guess there's only one answer now. Thanks, Tristan.
Pervert.
Wow, there we have it.
I think I would go big so I could climb, like you could hike a mountain faster,
Sure.
and then you could also go deeper into the ocean.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
Think about
Peaks
how
and
far
valleys.
you could go out, and then you could look back at your friends and be like, fuck you, and flip off your friends on the beach.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting hypothesis and an interesting use case for someone that leaves the house. I just say that's not something I have envisioned.
Yeah. So you would go small?
I think big as well. I think it would have more uses. Being small, like you can sneak into places, sneak out of places, be a pervert again.
Yeah. Ant-Man.
Ant-Man it up.
Is
But
Ant-Man a pervert?
Huge.
One of them is. Not Scott Lang.
One of the
Not-
Ant-Men is a pervert?
Yeah, there's Irredeemable Ant-Man. Robert Kirkman wrote it. It's not good. He is a perv.
Let's read that.
No, it's okay.
I'll Google it later.
okay.
I'd go big too, I think. Just because it has more practical uses for my life. Like,
Yeah.
or at least in the way that Camilla does, where she can be just like, oh, I'll take longer legs for today just so I can like dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something.
you can you can just like get
Practical.
something off the high shelf, like
Yeah.
put stuff in the storage space. Okay, this seems more ideal, unless you are a thief or a perv. But she gets caught once again by her parents. Her dad is not mad; he's just disappointed.
Oof.
But
Yeah.
he gives her a very nice dad speech.
Love it.
The art in this, which we haven't talked about enough, I don't think. A lot of the later art is done for this series is done by the artist's last name of Miyazaki. I forget the first name, but it's very much manga, like anime inspired, which I think works
Ooh.
especially well for like a book targeted at young adults.
Mm-hmm.
But this art is like very detailed. There's a lot of lines. It's very crunchy. It's it's very lumpy in places, which I think is really good, and especially it helps a lot with this dad. And when he's giving like a very somber, like I care about you and I'm worried about you, dad look. I just like that a lot.
Generally, I think the art in at least the issues that we
Mhm.
are contained in No Normal
Mhm.
are is like very unlike a superhero comic book.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that because like I said, for me, this was less about being a superhero and more about already dealing that dual life
Mhm.
of like having your cultural identity versus like your American identity.
Mhm.
And so like to see it in this more like, I want to say relaxed style, like not everything needs to be beautiful. There are real moments. It's like realistic, almost feeling like watercolors at points style. It makes a lot of these like home life family moments really feel good.
Mhm.
And I love this dad speech because it's like, Camilla, let's talk for a little bit. It's like the first time I see her actually like try to relate to her parents, and then it ends with her getting grounded anyway. It's so good.
Yeah.
She gets grounded anyway, but I mean, she obviously has to get out and go save the day
Yeah.
this time. So this time she really does go out and with her special knowledge of responsibility now and love and care
Yeah.
and caution in mind, I guess she manages to save Vic, and then she pledges to sort of like call Jersey City her turf.
Yeah.
She's like, to the tinker, the inventor.
This part was a little confusing to me. I don't know. I couldn't figure out if she had made the doll placed on the store queue?
No,
the
no,
queue store?
no. That was like a threat to her.
Was that a threat? Or
when she comes back, and we don't have this panel ready, but when she comes back after having saved the day, like where the area where she the store that she saved, has like a big doll of Miss Marvel.
The
on
bodega, it's like the corner market that
Square
works at.
Yeah.
Circle Q?
The Circle Q,
Circle Q.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange things are afoot. They mentioned that.
Oh,
Strange things are afoot at the Circle Q. That was like a Bill and Ted reference.
Oh.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like reference.
Yeah, very reference
stuff.
heavy.
Yeah.
And I like that for it, but I can't catch them all.
Yeah.
They're not Pokemon.
Nope. Couldn't catch all those either.
No.
I had blue version.
It's like over 800 references. You can't get them all. It's too many.
And then you have to trade references with your friends, and no one else has
and then your references change depending on what stone they're holding.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's very silly. But before we, that about wraps up our story. Before we go, I do want to get to our panel picks. Each week, each episode, we like to just kind of go over our favorite moments, our something that spoke to us, something funny, something that encapsulates the book for us, just whatever strikes our fancy. And I picked a very goofy moment just after the robbery, the initial robbery. She is approached by some cops. She has a mask on, and she insists that she is the one. She's Miss Marvel. She saved that girl in the pond. She saved the store itself, and just very funny, goofy facial expressions as she proves she has superpowers. She grows up and down. Some very nice little character work, and I love the goofy cop, and I love the goofy smile on her face. So that's nice stuff.
It's a silly panel. I like it.
Randy, what about your panel pick?
My panel pick was the pick of the first time in her homemade costume. And I like that a lot because that's the first time she's like going out and doing something heroic, but like she's also doing it as herself and not as the Miss Marvel, the Carol Danvers shape that she has normally taken. And I think at that point she actually doesn't go back to Miss Marvel at all. She's like, no, I'm here. I'm Camilla Khan, and I am Miss Marvel. I am the hero. And I thought that was like very good to like be proud of who you are, like because of all the identities that she has like already wrapped up within race and cultural identity. And be like, no, I'm here. I'm a hero. And like I think she's actually saying it's me, or whatever.
Right.
And I thought it was like very, very powerful little snippet as like in this like very tiny panel in like this larger story. It's like that panel, like in any other comic, that would have probably been like a full page or like a 2-page spread or something like that. And they were just like, nope, there's so much going on that like her announcing herself is only part of the story.
Right.
This reminds me of a very funny like Easter egg throughout the book where she's like referring to Carol Danvers and like Captain Marvel's like huge boots all the time. She's like, and she has huge boots. And I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah, Carol Danvers calls her out and says, you have a boot fetish.
I loved it. I loved it.
In the Vision,
very good.
Sorry, Vision wasn't in this.
Nice callback.
It is interesting that you mentioned that she's going at that as herself. I read a little bit behind the creation of the character. Besides G. Willow Wilson, Adrian Alfona, I think it was also an editor named Sana Amanat. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but she was Pakistani. She grew up in Jersey. She grew up idolizing, because of what society had told her, she felt like an outcast. She grew up idolizing like white women with blonde hair, and it took her like part of her journey was growing up to like be herself. So it felt like just looking at this backstory, like it seemed like a lot of her journey is like reflected in what we see in Kamala, and like especially that scene right there.
Yeah.
But we have to get to the last panel pick. Carolyn.
Yes.
You had a panel pick today.
I sure did.
What was it?
It was an inspiring moment that I just really loved because it's actionable. And she was saying I think it's when she's making her costume.
Yeah.
And she's like, good isn't something you are. Good is something you do. Which is like a lesson that I think the first time that like kind of phrasing was introduced to me is when I read the Once and Future King, which I read because it's the book that Magneto's reading in his plastic prison in X2. And you should read it. It's T.H. White, and it's it's the Arthurian tale. Anyways, there's a character in there, Lancelot is like, he's inherently like not necessarily a good person. Kamala Khan is inherently a good person, but he always chooses to do good. And Kamala's like, it's not an innate, it's not like a passive thing. It's a very active, being good and being a positive influence is a very active thing. And I like that a lot. I thought it was inspiring. And yeah, I choked up. I got a
little egg in your throat.
Again, I'm just imagining like a soft-boiled egg, just like.
Well,
do you want this?
That's where you hide it.
It's like I'm getting an egg in my throat thinking about your egg in your throat. is what I'm saying. So I think we were all like pretty positive about this book. But Randy, what were your thoughts? Like overall, would you recommend this book?
Oh hell yeah! I know I generally have the dissenting opinion when I'm on here.
That's true.
But
you didn't like Thanos wins, and okay.
I liked the Thanos annual, which is tied into whatever.
Okay. Well,
I recommend this book. I think it's very, very highly detailed in story and also like panels and art.
Sure.
Like I loved from like the first page, you start out in the circle queue and like I'm there reading the story and I'm reading like every little sign and every little thing is drawn and written on. Like little snacks have just like entertaining names. Like Birdie Num Noms is my favorite snack that I saw in there. But I would also drink Asian river water if given the opportunity.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
I saw the cereal box that said GMOs.
GMOs is very good. Yeah, like don't sue us or something like that was like the tagline of that cereal.
Sure.
It's like it's a superhero story that doesn't feel like a superhero story, which is I think what we need in such a superhero saturated culture right now.
Sure. Do you think that they'll do the movie will do this story justice?
No.
Okay.
But I hope it does.
What movie has ever done a comic book justice? Batman versus Superman director's cut.
Dawn of Justice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like in the Snyder cut, please.
Obviously.
Release it. Cowards.
I think the Miss Marvel video game could be good because sometimes video games are very good.
That's true. Story. Video games are better than movies at telling stories.
If they had
enter the Miss Marvel verse.
Imagine that would be like that would be so good.
Yeah.
Imagine if they did like a Spider-Man PS4 type game, but for Miss Marvel.
Yeah. So good.
Make it, cowards.
Cowards.
Spend $50 million and 4 years of your life.
So I can give you, I guess 40 because I'll wait for it to go on sale.
And then I'll borrow it from Randy once he's done playing it.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us here, my panelists, and here, my audience as well. Next time we are reading West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
That is the new version by Kelly Thompson and Stefano Caselli. There's a bunch of old ones. We'll get into those very soon. But until then, we will see you in the Funny Papers. Hey everyone, if you like this, be sure to check out dropout.tv. It's by far the best way to support Dorkly.
If you head there right now, you get a 1-week free trial and access to exclusive content.
Whoa! Great exclusives like Dimension 20, Troopers, Paranoia. It's all great. Go to dropout.tv today!
Today!